Now with Vladimir Putin, a man who is defiant yet again. The Russian president now promising to use force to end what he calls a government coup in Ukraine. Russia sending warships into the Black Sea, tightening the grip around the Crimean Peninsula, as we now learn that the U.S. is expected to send $1 billion in aid to aid the government in Kiev. A lot of developments overnight. We're going to go through them this morning. I'm Bill Hemmer, and welcome here to America's Newsroom. Off we go.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So we have Secretary of State John Kerry arriving in Kiev this morning. There he is, getting off the plane just about an hour or so ago. He has expressed America's support for the people of the Ukraine, but so far, President Putin has refused to back down.
First, the assessment. An assessment of what has happened in Kiev and in the Ukraine as a whole. There is only one assessment that can be made, and that this was an unconstitutional coup and armed seizure of power.
So that is his position. Amy Kellogg live at her position in Kiev with the latest from there. And what can you tell us about the very tense situation in Ukraine as of now, Amy?
Hi, Bill. Well, again, there's a very heavy fog that's descended over Kiev. Behind me on the square, Independence Square, people are continuing to try to drum up moral support for their revolution, which now seems to be in jeopardy because of this very tense situation, particularly in the southern area of Crimea. Now, to date, both sides have been incredibly disciplined in this standoff between Ukrainian and Russian military forces. But there has been concern about missteps, and there were very tense moments this morning when at the Belbek Air Base, which is near Sebastopol, that was taken over by Russian troops over the weekend, Ukrainian soldiers started complaining that they wanted their jobs back. The Russian soldiers there, who are in sort of unmarked uniforms, but of course we now all understand that they are Russian, they warned the Ukrainian troops against approaching and said they would shoot if they came close. And in fact, the Russian soldiers did fire shots into the air, and it was just an example of how things are really on edge. And then in the Black Sea, the Ukrainian naval ships, the Slavutich and the Ternopil, now are blockaded by Russian forces. It's a very complicated situation. Both of the top brass, Russian and Ukrainian, played on the same team for so many decades. They worked together in the Red Army, and now they are practically in a state of war, with Russians taking the Ukrainians' jobs and ordering them off their bases. And down on the streets of Kiev this morning, too, you'll hear people saying that they can't really come to any understanding of what is going on because they feel brothers with the Russians. They don't want to be taking their orders from Vladimir Putin, but they do feel very close to the Russian people and can't understand how it's come to this, Bill.
That fog as a backdrop serves as a metaphor for what's happening now. Amy, thanks. Amy Kellogg on the ground in Kiev. We will be in touch with you throughout the day here. Martha.